Welcome back to Whatever You Need. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel even more, be sure to click on the join button. We've got exclusive content lined up for you, and your support helps us bring you more stories like this. Now, let's get started. Tonight, the social media buzz is all about Barış Baktaş. A well-known face in Turkish television and music, his career has always been accompanied by public interest in his personal life, but tonight, he's at the center of a much quieter storm, a storm sparked by a message that has gone viral on social media. This message, shared in countless screenshots, has ignited conversations about his relationship with Yağmur Yüksel, a partnership that has been much admired by fans. But this message didn't feed the usual gossip mill, it painted a different picture, one filled with subtlety and an unexpected sense of vulnerability. The post that took social media by storm offered a glimpse into Barış and Yağmur's marriage, not as the picture-perfect union fans have come to adore, but as something more complex, grounded in mutual respect but acknowledging the realities that time had changed their connection. Described by followers as raw and uncharacteristically open, the message spoke of a relationship that had once been filled with joy but had gradually shifted into something that was, in the words of many who shared the sentiment, on paper. The marriage had become more about maintaining appearances than sustaining emotional intimacy, and the growing divergence in their lives had turned something once warm into something more formal and distant. What struck people most about the message was its tone of quiet acceptance. There was no bitterness, no drama, just a statement of truth. The underlying message was clear. At the beginning, love and happiness had defined their bond, but as time passed, they found themselves walking different paths. The reality of this transformation resonated deeply with fans, many of whom shared their own reflections on how fame can amplify the normal struggles in any relationship. Industry insiders speculated that Barış would likely take a step back from the public eye, keeping his personal life more private going forward, a move that seemed inevitable after the wave of speculation that had followed this message. What made this story stand out from other celebrity drama was the maturity of the conversation it sparked. No one involved, neither Barış nor Yağmur, had officially commented on the post, and their silence only added to the mystery, leaving fans to interpret the situation in their own way. But what was undeniable was the respect shown by fans and even industry figures. Instead of jumping to conclusions or demanding explanations, many took to social media to praise the quiet strength in accepting when a relationship evolves, rather than continuing to hold on to something that no longer works. In the midst of all the speculation, one of the most quoted lines from the post reflected an idea that has stuck with many. Sometimes life forces you to take a turn you never planned, and sooner or later, you choose the road that allows you to breathe. It wasn't a statement of anger or regret, but one of acceptance, recognizing that love, while beautiful, doesn't always stay the same. It's a reminder that relationships are fluid, and that stepping away from something that once brought joy isn't a betrayal, it's simply a matter of survival. This idea struck a chord with many fans, who saw it as a message of growth and moving forward, not an end but a transition. The conversations that followed seemed to share a common thread, a respectful recognition of the couple's journey. Fans who had once celebrated their public displays of affection now expressed admiration for their ability to privately navigate the complexities of life and love. Instead of fueling more speculation about the relationship's demise, the mood shifted to empathy. Many commented that it was refreshing to see a couple handle a difficult moment with such grace, without resorting to the usual tabloid tactics of scandal or blame. As time passed, the public discussion began to move away from sensationalism and toward more thoughtful reflections. Columnists and industry observers began to frame the situation as a case study, in how relationships in the public eye are more complicated than they seem. They discussed how public personas, often crafted for the camera, can hide the deeper truths of a relationship, truths that don't always align with what fans expect or hope for. It became less about what happened between Barış and Yağmur, and more about how we, as an audience, understand the nature of celebrity relationships in general. A second wave of reactions to the message further explored these themes. Writers and fans alike began to discuss how Barış and Yağmur's early connection had been full of light and affection, easy to spot in candid moments captured during interviews or on the red carpet. But as time went on, the connection had evolved into something more grounded. What remained was a partnership rooted in decency and respect, but not the deep emotional connection that the public might have expected. The term on paper became a metaphor for the reality of many relationships, suggesting that while the outward appearance remained intact, the emotional undercurrent had shifted. Fans, for the most part, responded with understanding, offering words of support and thanks for the memories that Barış and Yağmur had shared with them over the years. They acknowledged that love can look different from the outside, but that doesn't make it any less valuable. And while there were no clear answers from either Barış or Yağmur, the general tone of the discussion was one of acceptance, not expectation. The absence of a public statement only seemed to reinforce the idea that some things should remain private, that some answers don't need to be spoken aloud. The narrative that emerged was one of quiet strength and personal growth. Rather than turning their story into a public spectacle, Barış and Yağmur had demonstrated that relationships, like everything else in life, evolve. And when that evolution happens, it doesn't have to be a tragedy. It can simply be the next step in a journey that, for these two artists, would continue in separate directions, but still with respect for what they had built together. As the discussion continued, a third wave of commentary reaffirmed the themes of empathy and respect. The focus was not on the breakup or the drama, but on the acknowledgement that sometimes love fades, and that doesn't diminish what came before. Fans began to share their own stories of relationships that had transformed into something different, showing that it's not the ending that matters most, but the way we handle it. In the end, what many took from Barış's message was not the idea of a relationship falling apart, but of a partnership transitioning into something else, something that, while no longer romantic, was still meaningful. The quiet courage it took to acknowledge this without turning it into a public spectacle was what earned Barış and Yağmur even more admiration from their fans. And while we still don't have an official statement from either party, the story feels complete in its own way. The narrative that emerged wasn't one of blame or scandal, but of acceptance, growth, and the understanding that relationships can evolve without losing their value. It's a reminder that public images don't always reflect the full truth, and that the private heart of a relationship belongs to the two people living it. So, what do you think? How do you feel about the way Barış and Yağmur handled this? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that join button to support whatever you need. We'll be back soon with more stories from your favorite stars.